Now, destinations that depend on Chinese tourists for revenue are getting creative. Visitors from China have dried up as the country maintains strict border curbs to keep COVID-19 at bay. Olivia Seong reports.
It's all hands on deck at this hotel in China's capital, Beijing. The kitchen is getting ready to serve up something not usually seen on the menu, a uniquely Singaporean meal with a modern fusion twist. It's one of the offerings at this year's Singapore Food Festival, a yearly event that typically takes place in the Lion City, but is also being brought to China as international travel remains largely restricted.
Even during pandemic times when travel isn't as free flow as it used to be, we want to ensure that Singapore stays top of mind among all our potential tourists. And hopefully, when travel resumes, we will not only be one of the top choices for our tourists to visit, we will actually be the top choice.
China was Singapore's top source of tourists in 2019 prior to the pandemic, and the food festival this year is taking place on a larger scale, bringing benefits to partners like the Shangri-La Hotel Group. It too has been affected by the lack of international travelers. 9 of its properties in 7 Chinese cities are involved in the event.
Any kind of activity you create in the hotel will generate extra income because it's generating interest. Everybody is urging to travel and we are ready for them, but obviously nobody can at the moment.
About 155 million Chinese tourists traveled overseas in 2019, making up the largest group of tourists globally, with spending estimated at over $250 billion.
But this number has fallen drastically, not just because of travel restrictions in other countries, but also as China has strict requirements for those entering from overseas. This includes a quarantine period of at least 14 days and multiple COVID-19 tests. Authorities have also stopped issuing new passports to its citizens unless they have urgent reasons to go abroad.
Chinese we spoke to are mixed about the prospects of international travel in the future.
1年差不多2次，但是这个疫情以后一直没去过。本来带他也是每年保证，这是一种生活状态吧，我觉得等好了还会去。
看现在国外的疫情数字，再看中国的数字，看国外的管控，再看中国的管控。然后第三，你再看它最近中国错得的都是一些机舱外来的物流，所以说还是在国内留比较好。
Data from China's largest online travel platform, Trip.com Group, showed that Southeast Asian countries made up 8 of the top 20 destinations for Chinese tourists in 2019. But even if borders reopen, some experts say a tweak in strategy may be needed for countries that depend heavily on tourism.
The recovery will be slow because there will be a lot of adjustment to the new norms of traveling. For example, people will most probably going travel in smaller groups instead of the mass big group tour in the past. People would like to go to places that are less crowded. So every destination on its own will have to rediscover how they could be relevant for the new market.
China too has been affected by a lack of international tourists to the country. In 2019, there were 145 million inbound travelers, making up over $130 billion in revenue. But Dr. Chiam says with the country's large domestic market and potential for homegrown tourism, China would be better positioned to cushion the pandemic effect for now. Olivia Seong, CNA, Beijing.